Hey everyone, Scotty Shaw, and welcome to day two of 40 Days of K. So today's word is adversity, and it's pretty interesting. A lot of times we think of adversity as, you know, when you have a challenge, some problem you gotta fix, solve, whatever. But I think there's also the adversity of not having adversity. Something I went through in high school, just you know, nothing to do, no challenges, no opportunities to grow and learn, no opportunities to even make mistakes and grow and learn from them. And something that definitely you start to feel like kind of what's the point of life? Not in the depression type of sense of suicidal, where people think, oh, okay, my life is going downhill, and it will never get better, so I should commit suicide, which it's pretty serious. What I went through was not that. What I went through is more just, I don't get it. What's the point of life? It's like wake up and you know everything's just easy. Just kind of don't have to. There's no challenges, but I just didn't really see what else was there to do. It's like, all right, great. High school was easy. I'm skipping every class and still acing everything. There just wasn't anything worth doing, and I think obviously that's a very different situation from depression and suicide and thoughts of suicide. Mine was more just I couldn't find any meaning in life. I just thought I don't get it. There's all this stuff going on, and none of it meant anything. And that I think that was probably uh, the most boring stretch of my life. So it wasn't until I got to Duke that I really started to experience adversity and good adversity. Um, Something that really stood out to me was early on I realized I was way behind everyone else. I never had challenges in high school. I never got to grow and learn. I didn't even have any peers who would understand where I was coming from, and those who did wouldn't even understand what it's like for me at Duke. And making such a big jump, it's kind of like I guess one analogy would be someone who lives on the coast all their lives suddenly goes to Denver to ski, or they go to Mexico City, some high elevation place. They definitely aren't ready for that elevation, the thinner oxygen in the atmosphere. And it's this very different environment and lifestyle. So, for me, I went from no opportunities, even if I wanted them, they just didn't exist. And even trying to create them, you know, opportunities just didn't exist. Um, There's not much I could do. There's no growth. It's boredom, disinterest, complacency, just pointlessness. And it very much is one of those without feeling like you're alive. It feels like you might as well be dead. And there's just no life. There's no energy in your life. And then getting to Duke though, you felt like every day was full of diversity and challenges. And for me, I resolved to just go and make mistakes, just forget about what people might think of me, just do stuff and learn from those mistakes. Because for me, it'd be much more important to spend my time at college figuring out my life, figuring out myself, much more importantly than you know, do people like me or not? Which I figured stuff out pretty quickly, relatively. By junior year, I was on a roll, and I did meet a lot of great people, a lot of great friends. So it's not like it was a complete mess, but definitely there were a lot of struggles, and um, for me, it was very high priority to figure stuff out right away because it wasn't just what career I want, what major I want. It was also just what is the point of anything. So it was a very different situation for me. But something that stood out to me in this section Coach K wrote, "One of the greatest comments I ever heard about adversity came from the current Duke University president, Richard Broadhead. He said to me, 'You'll outlive your darkest day.' In other words, failure can never be your destination." And I think my freshman year was the first year of President Broadhead, first or second. But I remember the first time I set foot on campus. It was just, it felt like I was finally home. I was finally where I had to be. I belonged. And it's a feeling I will never forget. And it's just one of those things when you know that's where you need to be. That's where everything for you is. And something that I had never experienced, or at least not in a long time. Um, Getting to Duke, realizing it really was a form of unconditional love. Being accepted to Duke. It wasn't you're good enough for Duke, because you got to graduate to be good enough for Duke. But it was saying, hey, the stuff you're talking about, not just what you've done, but who you are. We're accepting you as you are. And that's something I really realized that Duke is about. Because when I was a senior in high school, I was getting pamphlets from all these schools and all this information, and they're all talking about being the top school academically or athletically or something. And I knew half of them were just making stuff up, because one look at ESPN, you're not ranked. I already know you're not good at sports. It's that simple. You know, if you're not good at sports, you're not ranked. So don't tell me you're good at sports. Don't tell me, oh yeah, you win this or that. We have Olympians. Great, they were Olympians without you. You don't turn them into Olympians. And then school saying we're the best academically. And I'm starting thinking, I know what kind of students go there. These schools aren't what I'm looking for. But then with Duke, I felt like they had stayed in touch with me. Tip stuff from 8th grade on, and um, you know, basketball. Playing shooting guard growing up. I was a huge fan of JJ Redick, so you already knew about Coach K and Duke and JJ Redick. I knew about just the culture. But the biggest thing was when I got the pamphlet from Duke. Duke wasn't talking about the school's achievements. The pamphlet showed basketball players with students in Kville. I thought at first, oh, okay, it's just gonna be the same thing, talking about, oh, we have championships and stuff. You know, they're gonna forget about other sports. They're just gonna talk about their highlights. But that's not what they did. I opened up the pamphlet, and inside, they're talking about students camping out for basketball, which is part of the culture. While they're camping out, they're trying to organize trips to go to Uganda and dig wells for villages. You know, people were just volunteering and doing stuff for the homeless right off campus. And a lot of people would say, okay, great. Who cares? Students probably can't build wells. They probably suck at that. You're a bunch of millennial teenagers or whatever you are, doing stupid things. Yeah, but here's the point. Duke gave me the feeling they're proud of students for being who they are and doing their best. And that's the unconditional love that people need. People need to feel safe to make mistakes so they can go and learn. And that's a big part of education. You don't learn unless you feel like you can make mistakes and learn from them. It shouldn't be about results only. Results are important, but it's also about the journey to making those mistakes, the results. And I think that's a big thing that I saw from Duke's pamphlet, saying, come as you are, be who you are, but do your best to grow into who you can become. And I think that's the thing. We go in as freshmen, we start off just, we don't know what's going on. Some of us are even more clueless than others. Especially in my case, absolutely no idea what on earth was going on with anything. But Duke was just saying, hey, it's okay. Just be here, be you, have fun, take time, figure stuff out. And eventually, I did. And I think that's the thing. That's the strength of a school of champions saying, hey, we're going to help you figure it out. We're going to provide you the unconditional love, the acceptance. We're going to give you a community where you're not going to have to figure everything out alone. You have to make it through your own path alone. You have to figure out your own path, your life on your own. But there are other people who can help you along the way. You just gotta just walk through that open door. You know, open up more doors, knock on doors, and I think that's something amazing that I would not have experienced at any other school. And for me, it was only at Duke, the one school that did not care to brag about the Nobel Prize professors. I didn't even know about that until I was on campus. The big thing was saying, look, when you're a student camping out, instead of sleeping indoors or camping out in Kville, you know, what can you do for others while you're having fun? That's all we care about. Do your best. And Coach K alludes to that unconditional love. Let's see, where is it? Um, he said Jason was fearless because he grew up with great parents, knowing that he had their unconditional love and support, and that a mistake was never the end all. I tried to offer him the same type of support during his college career. His fearlessness made him one of the best players I have ever coached. And I think that's an amazing thing. To be able to say, "You're here, I'm here for you. Go and do your thing." So I thought I'd look it up. Stats on Jason Williams and all that. Some of the big achievements we know about: 2001 national champion, and he was the player of the year for 2001 and 2002. Got his jersey retired, number 22, 3.6 GPA. So, getting your jersey retired at Duke means you were at least some kind of national player of the year, whether it's just straight up the player of the year or defensive player of the year. You have to graduate, which a lot of Duke players, as amazing as they are, don't become player of the year. Some of them don't graduate, so a lot of their jerseys aren't retired. And I think that's the amazing thing that Duke says, yeah, you might be a star, but for us to honor you as a school, for us as a school to honor you, you know, you have to be a student and an athlete that achieves on and off the court. And 3.6 GPA, Jason Williams definitely did that. And then on top of that, his stats, his junior year, 2001, when they won a championship, 21.6 points per game, 6.1 assists per game, 3.3 rebounds a game, 2.2 steals a game. He shot 47.3% from field goal with 42.7% from three. But here's the amazing thing. The story that Coach K mentions regarding Jason Williams and his fearlessness coming from his parents' unconditional love and what Coach K tried to give him. In the championship game, beating Arizona 82-72, Jason Williams actually had a bad game. He had 16 points, but that was on 5 of 15 shooting. He shot 3 for 4 for field goal, but 4 of 6 from free throw and 2 of 11 from 3. And he had 3 rebounds, 3 steals, 4 assists, but 6 turnovers. The amazing thing Coach K says, though, is Jason Williams had gone 1 for 10 from 3. And at a key moment in the game, he drew up this play. He drew up this play for Jason Williams and said, "You're going to hit this 3." So here's Jason Williams, 1 for 10, runs this play, hits a 3, 2 for 11, and that goes on to help win the game. And as a shooting guard growing up, I can tell you, knowing that you have the green light, knowing your teammates trust you and in fact want you to shoot because that's what you practice for, that's what you train for, and that's your skill, that's your weapon. That's one of the best feelings ever. I once had a teammate tell me, "Look, you do your thing on offense. I'll handle defense. I'll get the rebounds. You just score." That was an amazing feeling because not only did I start hitting shots from all over the place, even NBA range, coming off screens, curls, just on the move, off balance. my defense started locking in even more. Because sometimes you just need the ball to go in the basket. Sometimes you just need to hear from your teammates. We trust you. And that's the thing. Shooting guards, we're kind of the prima donnas of basketball. We need to know that we're loved and supported. We're not emotionally stable like a point guard. you know, we got to know that our teammates want us to take that next shot. And um, recently Duncan Robinson started, catching fire. There's a story, when he was on JJ Redick's podcast talking about if he dribbles inside the 3-point line, Coach Spo starts yelling at him. It's like, take the shot. And I think that's the thing. Shooters, we need to know because it's very high risk, high reward. The shots we take, we can shoot our teams to victory or go 0 for 17, our teams lose. But then for Coach K to show the same unconditional love to Jason Williams and say, hey, look, it doesn't matter what your percentage is right now. The fact is, we're drawing up this play. You're going to make this shot. Jason Williams makes it 2 for 11, but Duke wins the championship in 2001. And that's the thing. Fearlessness, it's not about perfection. It's about having the courage to go out and make mistakes and then learn from them. And, my struggle before Duke was I just didn't even get to do that. I didn't even have the chance to make mistakes. I didn't have any opportunities to do so and learn. But then going to Duke, I didn't know I was going to go to Duke until late in high school, but I knew I had a destination beyond the devastation, and that's a phrase Coach K uses, but, for me, it's not that high school was devastating. It was just pointless. But I knew there was some destination, some college out there, and it eventually became clear it was Duke. It's the one school that, there was no point in me going anywhere else. Obviously, I'm not saying Duke's the only good school. For everyone, there's a different school. But for me, Duke was always that school. It will always be that school. And, for Jason Williams, when he had that motorcycle accident, Coach K showed up and said, hey, look, you're going to make it through. People will talk to you about the medical and physical, but I'm going to talk to you about the mental and the emotional. You're in this devastation right now, but here's a destination. You're gonna recover. You're gonna walk again. You're gonna keep your legs. You're gonna run and jump. You're gonna play ball again, and he did. Unfortunately, he didn't make the NBA again, but he was signed to the Nets briefly, got waived, and then played with the Austin Toros for a bit. And the fact is, he made it back in some way. And I think that's the thing. Winners expect to win, but even then, winners have to first learn how to look at the problem and then beyond the problem, and find a solution, positive impact. How will it affect them and their teams? And I think that's the thing. Before Duke and after Duke, I've always had that mindset. Winners never quit. I just didn't have the skill set. And Duke is where I learned that skill set. I finally got the opportunities to make mistakes and learn stuff, and from there say, all right, how do I, conduct myself as a winner? How do I, if there's adversity, how do I get through it? Not just I need to get through it, knowing it, but actually saying I'm going to get through it and then know how to get through it. So, I think that's one of the biggest things. Having that unconditional love and excellent mentorship. That is what takes someone with the mindset of a champion into having the skills of a champion. Taking the heart of a champion and giving it the tools needed to be a champion. And of course, it's not about actually having that trophy, which would be nice, but it very much is about that journey. And, President Brownhead was right. You outlive your darkest day. Jason Williams did. I've had dark days since Duke, but, going from just feeling like high school is pointless to here's Duke. I got to make mistakes. I got to learn. I can't worry about what people think of me because I'm here for me. And until I can catch up, I can't do much for others. So that's what I did. Made mistakes, learned, caught up, and just doing my best to eventually contribute and I was able to, stuff like basketball marathon, mentoring, younger students, um, just giving back in other ways. The MLK Center I mentioned yesterday. Underprivileged students. All right, let me help you get there. I wasn't as underprivileged, but I definitely missed out on a lot of mentorship. So if I can mentor you, let's do it. So you know, I think that's the thing. A lot of times we all have to deal with adversity in life. Some adversity is the lack of adversity, knowing you need to make mistakes and learn, be exposed to things. But when you're in a situation where you're being deprived and neglected and just not having chances to do anything, that's a that's a different form of adversity. But in the end, whatever devastation you're in, you got to have the destination. And for me, it was college, which became Duke. And from there, saying, all right, wherever I go, people will know that I'm from Duke. I'm going to represent Duke as best I can. I might be the worst student ever at Duke, but everyone who looks at me will say, he went to a school of champions. Whatever he was before, he had the mindset, he picked up the skill set, and he became a champion. He became a winner. He was always a winner. He stayed a winner. He never gave up. And, you know, that's an amazing thing. That's what Duke gave me. Unconditional love, excellent mentorship, and for me, I would never consider any other school to be on the same level or even close. For everyone, I hope you find that for yourselves, whether it's Duke as well, whether it's a different school or something else, a person, a phase of life, whatever it is. I hope each of you find something like that, because when you're able to find that destination beyond the devastation, that's when you're starting to think like a winner. So yeah, keep at it. Picking up submissions for HackCOVID soon. Um, you know, start drawing up contingency plans for this summer. In fact, kind of laid out plans for the rest of the summer or the rest of the year to, I guess, just adapt to the situation. Adaptability from yesterday. Well, adapting to coronavirus and see what happens. So yeah, the rest of the day, I'll be working some more on this stuff. Go outside for a jog or something now that it's stopped raining. And yeah, start preparing for tomorrow as well, the future. But at least short term, the word for tomorrow is balance. All right, take it easy.